is Jenna Melendez, and I'm currently in my third year of teaching third grade at an elementary school in Florida. So today I wanted to talk about some of the values and beliefs that I have, some of the dispositions that I think I do well, that make me successful, as well as some of the dispositions that I could work on. And I apologize for the thunder. I've tried to take many retakes, but the thunder and lightning, they keep going. So we'll try to work with that. But first up, for the dispositions I feel that I currently possess, I want to talk about community involvement. And so I coach soccer in my community as well as attend church in my community, and I'm able to see a lot of current and former students out on the field, and I see their families and I get to know a little bit more about them. So I think that as a teacher, being involved in your community is very important. Very important, sorry. Another one I want to talk about would be professional friendliness and warmth. A lot of these kids don't get to see any warmth or friendliness, and so being that first face they see in the morning when they come in, and just being kind, supporting their intellectual, spiritual, and emotional health, I think, oh my goodness, is just something that we can't take for granted as a teacher. We really need to support that. And so every morning we have our responsive classroom morning meetings, and we just shake each other's hand and say good morning, and I think it's a really good way to show that warmth. Curiosity, I plan science, and I get to teach it every day, so we always start off with an inquiry activity, and that's my favorite part, is seeing those kids' faces beam and light up when they get to figure something out on their own, even when they fail something and then they learn the right way. It's just, I think, one of the most effective ways to teach. Sound judgment and ethical behavior. So sound judgment, I think, is that with-itness about when to do what, whether it's, the classroom management that you have or the way that you talk to somebody, the sound judgment and the ethical behavior. I've always been a rule follower, and so I think being that leader by example is good for your students and important as a teacher. Commitment to the profession, meaning no matter what's going on, wages, unions, contracts, to show your commitment to what you're doing and to your students. I believe that I hold that as something very important and valuable to me. Integrity, something as small as doing something right the first time or turning something in on time when you're working with students or colleagues, is very valuable. And then social justice and fairness, as well as, the appropriate standards of confidentiality. I think that is very important as a teacher, that you hold this dear and that you really try to get this down pat in the first couple years of teaching. I just think that these kids come in with so many issues and so much going on, and so it's really important that we are their advocates and that we speak up for them, and we do everything we can to provide opportunities for them. The three that I think I need to work on, one of them being cultural diversity, and so our school right now currently sits at 77% of our children are in poverty, and so we just started a book study as a school, and just in the first 3 chapters I'm already reading things that I've done wrong or that I need to correct in order to really reach these students, because when they're thinking about the lights being off at home, they're not really thinking about division or multiplication. So I think this is an area that I really need to improve on. My reflection as a teacher, I know that so many days are to-do lists and tasks and what we can get done, so I think that reflecting is not always my best. I think that if I just took a little bit of time right after each lesson to write down some notes about what I could have done better, what was not effective, I think that could make me a more successful teacher. And then finally, my realistic expectations for student learning. I believe all students can learn, but I do struggle with setting those expectations. I have currently ESE cluster. I've had it for the past 3 years, and so I have students with exceptional learning, and I know that I get my IEPs, my individualized learning plans, but I still feel like I struggle to set my own expectations for them. So that's something that I could improve upon. I think that overall, professional educator needs to look like somebody who wants to be there, both physically and mentally. Far too many times we're seeing teachers who who just seem like they don't care, or they're dressed in a manner that shows that they don't care, and then also on top of that they're angry or they're moody. So I think teachers, I think it would be very beneficial, and I think all teachers should, all teachers should definitely dress and act appropriately at school. In any profession, it would not be okay to act out or act angry or upset and to dress like you don't care. Something I learned in my undergrad was that teachers should act like they live in a fishbowl. And so I've always kind of taken that to heart, because it is true where we live. We're going to the same grocery stores, we're going to the same restaurants almost all the time as our students. And so to live in a fishbowl means to act and think about how what you're doing would hurt your kids, or how it would affect them actually. And so I think the standards that should guide teachers would be that sound judgment and ethical thinking. Teachers in general, we have one of the most important jobs in the world is to shape our future, the future of our country. And so I think that having a good moral compass is something that should guide teachers' thoughts and actions. Also, the standing up for social injustices. The kids, they just, like we talked about with the socioeconomic levels and, even cultural diversity, they do not get everything that they need. And so as teachers, sometimes we're the only voice for them. So standing up against social injustice and promoting cultural diversity is something that I think is really important and should guide teachers. The final one I wanted to say that I think should guide teachers in their thoughts and actions would be the genuine warmth, friendliness, and just support of the intellectual, emotional, and spiritual side of children. Because, as I said before, we have one of the most important jobs, and even though we're supposed to teach curriculum, we're also supposed to support all of those things for our students. And I think that if teachers really thought deeply about this and worked to perfect this, they could be the most effective teacher. Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I think that my purpose on this earth from Jesus Christ is to serve people, and how great it is that I get to serve little people, and I get to work with them and show them the warmth and genuine friendliness that they so need, that Jesus has called us to love people, and so they need that too. In conclusion, I am really thankful for this opportunity to think of some of my values and beliefs, and to reflect about things that I need to do better, like reflection and cultural diversity and the realistic expectations. So I'm happy to be doing the book study. I'm happy that I have opportunities to grow. And as teachers, we should always, always, always strive to grow and become better and more successful in our field. So thank you.